And we are live on another edition of the K and K Sports Show. This is it, the last one in January before, boys, do you believe Saturday is going to be February already? I mean, is this crazy? Listen, Super Bowl is set. I know you guys will talk about that next week. But we got a little more than football tonight, right? We got some NBA trade deadline. We got some NFL coaching hires. So, you know what? Let's get to it. Mr. Carson Shear, how are you?
What's up, guys? How you doing? Glad to be a part of the best sports talk show on YouTube. Wednesday night, like Kurt said, can't believe it's already February. Super Bowl's next week, but yeah, looking forward to talking some other sports tonight.
Mr. Kirkpatrick, I'm going to go to you tonight.
Yeah, just like Carson said, you know, NFL's taking a week off. You know, we got some NFL talk, but we're going to save the Super Bowl for a nice Super Bowl show next Wednesday. Like we always do, we put on a good show. So looking forward to that. And looking forward to the show tonight. We got some fun stuff planned for everybody. So let's roll.
Last but not least, the one, the only, Mr. Rosen. How are you, my friend?
All right. Doing well. Thank you, Kurt. Good to be with everybody again, guys. Always a pleasure. Gonna miss a little football this weekend, but hey.
Yeah, Jen said that to me tonight, Paul. She's like, you realize no football this week? I was like,
I know. So, but hey, ready for next weekend. We'll see.
All right, Mr. Kirkpatrick, I'm going to send it back to you, and then you will send it back to, by the way, you guys do a phenomenal job with the agenda. I say that every week, but you guys do.
Yep. So we're going to start with some quick hitters tonight. Kurt, I'm going to do the quick hitters tonight. No Graham tonight, by the way, everybody who's in the audience and everybody. He's got the night off. He had some family over today, so he's taking the night off, and he'll be back with us next week. But I got some quick hitters for you guys, and start the ball off. Has to do with Kurt's division. Pete Carroll last week was announced as the Raiders head coach. So I'll start with Kurt on this one. A simple one, Kurt. Rank the four AFC head coaches now. You got Sean Payton, Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Pete Carroll. 1 to 4. 1 being the best, 4 being the worst in the division.
Oh, that's so hard. My God.
You could be biased.
I'm going to shock you guys right now. By the way, Eddie Murphy's saying good evening, gentlemen. I'm going to shock you.
Hey, Eddie.
Number 4, Pete Carroll. Number 3, number 2 and number 3 is a tie with Andy Reid and Sean Payton. Number 1 is Jim Harbaugh.
Wow. Carson, what's your 4?
That's
1 being
crazy.
the best.
1, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, it's Andy Reid. The guy's been unstoppable, going for 3 in a row. I would say 2. This is where it gets really tricky. I think I would put Pete Carroll at number 2 just because of the experience. He has won Super Bowls in the past, in his career. So I'll say Carroll's 2. I'm gonna say Sean Payton's 3 and Harbaugh's 4.
You know, I'm close to Carson, Kurt. I got Andy Reid 1. I got Sean Payton 2, Pete Carroll 3, and Harbaugh 4. Paul.
Yeah, you guys have almost nailed it. I'm going to put Andy Reid, of course, greatest Kansas City Chief coach and probably greatest Eagles coach, 1. I'm going to tie only because they both have Super Bowl wins. Sean Payton and Pete Carroll at 2, and not to take anything away from Jim Harbaugh, believe me. Obviously, national championship coach and great NFL coach. He'll be 3, but by no means last.
Kenny, real quick, couple comments. Eddie Murphy, there's no nights off in the world of sports. He's saying about Graham. There's our good friend Roy Osborne. Hey, guys, wanted to say hi to all of you. And he's saying, I can rank them. 1 Reid, 2 Harbaugh, 3 Pete Carroll, 4 Payton. There's Ryan Scoop Woodhams, our good friend. Pitchers and catchers report in 2 weeks. If Commissioner Manfred doesn't see his shadow, do we get opening day early? Happy hump day, my brothers. What's up, Scoops?
Scoops, how you doing? Hope all's well down there in Mississippi.
And good luck, Scoops. And all I got is, well, we'll see next week. But Scoops, send me some gear for next Sunday. That's all I'm going to. There's my hint. Send me some gear.
We're going to get into
He wants some free,
We're like this, baby.
He
We're
wants
like
some free merch.
One time only. One time only.
I heard this one today on the Pat McAfee show, Carson. Bill Belichick suggested changing the Lombardi Trophy name to the Tom Brady Trophy. Reason is he won 7 Super Bowls. What do you got to say about that, Carson? Agree? Disagree? What do you want to say to Belichick about that statement?
Absolutely not. Vince Lombardi, I think arguably is the greatest football coach of all time. That's an iconic piece of history. That's where the Super Bowl, Lombardi is the Super Bowl. That is one of the greatest trophies in all of sports. I get kind of the fun fascination idea to make it the Brady Trophy, but he's got his, the LFG player of the game that he does every week. So he already has his own kind of trophy that they give out. So no, I'm going to keep it Lombardi.
Paul, what's your thoughts on changing the trophy name?
Did Tom Brady died last night that we don't know about? No. Vince Lombardi, arguably the greatest coach in NFL history, well deserved to have that honor as the winner of the Super Bowl. That's not happening. No.
Right now, this might be comment of the night. Eddie Murphy, his 20-year-old girlfriend probably gave him the idea. LOL.
That's good, Ed.
She wouldn't know who Vince Lombardi is, though.
Kurt, what are you saying to
No,
Belichick?
you know what? No, I mean, like Carson said, that's like iconic Lombardi, right? The first coach. So I'm going Vince. I don't think it should be anybody. It should be
Maybe
Lombardi.
Hey, Kenny. Maybe we'll rename a mountain for Tom Brady. Mount Brady.
Yeah. I'm gonna change it up a little bit here. Thoughts, Paul, on the TGL Golf League? Let me explain what it is for those who don't know. It's an indoor golf league co-founded by Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, which combines traditional golf play with simulated golf. You like it? You think you can like it?
You're asking me?
I'm asking Paul first.
Oh, you're asking me. And this is for professionals or for?
Yeah, Tiger Woods and McIlroy played a match, and there's it's like a team. So it was like Boston versus Florida.
Yeah,
I think there's 4 teams in it.
If it makes money and people are willing to watch it, why the hell not? Yeah.
Before I go to Kurt and Carson, I like it because we're in the middle of winter now. You can't play golf in Michigan where Carson, can't play golf in New York, can't play golf in all the northern states, can't play golf in Canada. Let's I think it's good for golf. I think it could gain some popularity. Kurt, your thoughts?
Again, I'm not gonna be overexcited and not miss something to watch it, but I wouldn't not watch it. Like, sure, I'll watch it.
Carson?
Yeah, no, I don't mind it. I think it's cool. They're appealing to the younger crowd. And like Kenny said, depending on where you at in the country, some states you can't even golf. It's too cold to golf outside. So anything to bring more ratings to the sport of golf, I don't have a problem with it.
Scoops is saying, asking the guy who doesn't drink for beer is like asking Kurt for a book on analytics, but I'll do my best. All love, LOL. Roy Osborne saying, I agree, Lombardi to GOAT. Eddie then is saying they can go to Florida and play golf for seniors. And Roy saying, I like my putt golf.
Yeah, miniature golf's fun. Putt, love it, Roy. All right, I got 2 more. Back to Kurt. Caitlin Clark passing on the NBA All-Star 3-point contest. Last year we had Curry versus, I forget who it was, but Caitlin Clark passing on
it was Sabrina, what's her name?
Yeah. She's passing on it, saving it for when the All-Star game's in Indiana, the women's All-Star game. Does this hurt the NBA All-Star weekend, Kurt, with her not being in the 3-point contest? No.
Does it hurt the NBA? No. The Knicks got 2 starters since 1975. I can give 2 what Caitlin Clark does. But no, honestly, no. I mean, the NBA needs Caitlin Clark. If they need Caitlin Clark, the NBA is in major trouble. So no, absolutely not. And you know what? She shouldn't have to do it. I mean, she's a woman. Let her, like you said, that was all cool and stuff like that. But, it's not, I mean, I'm not saying she's wrong for not doing it. I mean, it's a nice gesture to invite her, but it's up to her if she wants to do it. So I have no problem with her not being there, not doing it, and absolutely no problem at all that the NBA, I don't think, is going to miss her.
I'll go to Carson and Paul in a second, but this is the one time I really haven't disagreed with Kurt in big time in a while. But this is going to hurt ratings for the 3-point contest, in my opinion. So, dunk contest has been watered down many years. So, like Carson's thoughts and Paul's thoughts on it.
Yeah, like Kenny said, I think it would definitely help them if she was involved this year. But like you were saying, she's going to wait until it's in Indiana. But Kurt made a good point. I mean, if they're relying on Caitlin Clark, a female basketball player, to bring up the NBA's ratings, which is a dying sport, by the way, they're in big trouble. So I don't think it's a huge issue.
Yeah, good points, guys. And Paul?
Yeah, I think that's exactly why they wanted her to be there, because the ratings are tanking. And look what she did with the WNBA. So the fact that she would be there, more eyes, especially maybe female eyes, would want to watch. So to get her in there against Steph Curry or whoever else they have 3-point, absolutely, they would want her there. But, that's her prerogative not to do it.
Real quick, Eddie Murphy saying all these weekends suck anyway. Roy Osborne, no way it won't hurt the NBA. And our good friend Denver Bronco Roundup, Keith Brugman. Look at these fine panel of gentlemen.
Yes,
Kenny,
I got the privilege of joining them guys weekly now on Tuesday nights, helping. And
congratulations, Kenny.
Part of the Denver Bronco Roundup. So check us out on Tuesday, Friday nights. I'm a Tuesday night guy, but also on Friday nights, 9:30 Eastern time.
Kenny, I have one for you guys. Quick hitter, real quick. In this cup, I have candy. Okay, I could suck on them. I can chew them, but they're hard. It's a hard candy. I eat them now, and this is my only hint. I only have it for about a month. They came out about 2 weeks ago for about a month. Carson, what kind of candy is it? What is it?
Jolly Ranchers.
Paul.
It's an Easter candy. If it's
I was going to say it's got to be a.
I think I know what they are. Knowing him.
Oh man, they're hard.
Small.
I think I got it.
I don't know.
It's Kenny? Those hearts with the sayings on them.
Yep.
Oh, the sweethearts.
Terrible hard candies that break your teeth with no
real love. It's orange.
Nice.
Horrible.
He's so sentimental.
There we go.
I got a last one for you. This is a hypothetical. Again, I'll go to Kurt first. Hypothetical: if the Chiefs, and this is the only Super Bowl talk we're going to have this week, if the Chiefs were to win next Sunday, could we see percentage-wise of all 4 major sports teams repeating? So you would have to have the Celtics, the Dodgers, and the Panthers. Give me a percentage if the Chiefs were to win, those other 3 teams added to it, all repeat in 2025.
25%, because the Dodgers absolutely will, but the other 2, I would say the Celtics aren't, and hockey's always like someone's different. So I'm going to say 25%.
That's fair. Carson?
Yeah, I'm with Kurt, probably around 20-25%. I think hockey's the hardest to repeat.
Yep. And Paul?
I'm going to say actually better. I'm going to say 75%, because I think definitely the Chiefs are going to win. We'll get to that next week. But I also think hockey will repeat, and the Dodgers clearly will be the favorites.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers are clearly the favorites. I'm going to go about 35%. I think Celtics number may get – there's a lot of teams after the Celtics, and hockey, like everybody's saying, is going to be tough. All right, there's quick hitters for the week, gentlemen. For the Super Bowl week, we'll do Super Bowl stuff next week with some quick hitters to start the show off. But
nice.
It was my quick hitters for the week. Give Kurt the night off. Didn't come after him this week. If I knew he was eating those sweetheart candies, I would have done a Valentine's Day thing. But maybe save that for next week.
Fantastic.
All right, so we're going to pass it off to Mr. Carson. He's got some NBA stuff for us this week. We're going to start it off with NBA.
Yeah, thanks, Kenny. All-Star game. They announced the starters. The rest of the reserve players, I believe, are being announced tomorrow. But the All-Star starters for the East and the West were both announced last week on Inside the NBA. So I'll give you guys the names. In the East, You got the Greek Freak, Giannis, Jalen Brunson, Jason Tatum, Karl Anthony Towns, and Donovan Mitchell. And for the West, you got Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, LeBron, and Jokic. So my question to you guys is, do you have a problem with anybody on this starting lineup list? Do you have any thoughts as well on how this works? Should it be up to a committee? Should it be, more so the fan vote? I know different sports are different on how they determine who the All-Stars or Pro Bowlers are. So, yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? Did they get it right? And if so, was there somebody that you feel like deserved to be on the starting lineup that got snubbed? I'll go to Paul first. We'll do the East first.
Okay. Listen, I love the way the starters were named. As Kurt said earlier, the first time the Knicks have had 2 starters since 1975, 50 years ago. That's to be believed. But Earl the Pearl and Walt Clyde Frazier as the backcourt starting for the East. No, I love it. I think well deserved, and I have no complaints of those 5 guys.
Kenny, did they get the East starters right?
I think they got it right, but a couple things, if you can argue, is but Brunson, we all know he got snubbed last year, not only from the All-Stars, but also the Olympics. You could say the same for LaMelo Ball. He's averaging 28 a game, a couple more points than Brunson. I'm sure he'll be a reserve. If he doesn't get a reserve, then he's definitely a snub. So I don't have a problem with the starters on the East. Zach LaVine's another name, maybe in place of Mitchell. He's having a slightly better year scoring than Mitchell. But again, let's see what happens when the reserves are announced, and then we can definitely say snub for sure. But not a big problem with the East for sure.
Kurt, what are your thoughts on the Eastern starters?
Yeah, Mr. Kirkpatrick wants to disagree with me. I want to disagree with him. He wants to take Zach LaVine. They got, what, 12 wins? And he wants to take LaMelo Ball? No. Sorry. The way it is. The best team in the East, Donovan Mitchell, belongs there. Tatum, second best team, belongs there. The 2 Knick guys, belongs there. Then take the next best player, which is Greek Freak. LaMelo Ball, those guys, those teams stink. They stink. They're just stacked fillers. Absolutely not. I think they got it 100% right. Brunson's the best point guard in basketball. I don't care what anybody tells me. He's clutch. He's just unbelievable. The Karl Anthony Towns, that combination 1-2. I thought the East. Listen, 100%. Those are the 5 guys that 100% should be starting.
Yeah, I think you guys nailed it. I don't have a problem with any of the starters in the East. Like Kurt said, you got to put Donovan Mitchell in there. They're the best record in basketball right now. I guess they're tied with the Thunder right now, but they've done a tremendous job. Yeah, so I don't think there's anybody that you could argue that should have been a starter like you guys are saying. I think we're going to have to wait and see when the reserves come out tomorrow, to really see who did get snubbed. Kenny was throwing out a couple guys' names. So that's the East. We'll go to the West really fast. I'll repeat the names again. So the West, you got Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, LeBron, and Jokic in the West. Paul, did they get the West right?
It's a popularity contest, and the fans want to see the players that they want to see. So with the LeBrons and the Kevin Durants, and let's face it, much longer is Steph going to be playing? So, yeah, I mean, for the kind of game that the NBA All-Star game is, as far as I'm concerned, they got it right with the 5 starters.
Kenny, your thoughts on the West?
I take LeBron out. Anthony Edwards should be in. You can argue Jokic with Wemby. Wemby's the future of the NBA. But Jokic is still putting up 30 a game, so I can't have a big problem there. The other one, Curry's only playing 30 minutes a game. Yeah, he's averaging 22 and 6 a game, but he's only playing 30 minutes. About De'Aaron Fox, 38 minutes a game, 25 and 6. Maybe he should have been the starter over Curry, but I get it. It's a popularity contest. These are the veterans with not too many years, like Paul said, so that's why they're starting. And the fans voted the more popular guys in.
Kurt, your thoughts on the West?
I really don't have a problem with this, but I actually mentioned this to Jen the other day, Carson. I'm going to throw it to you. I think the West got a little I think the West would have kind of had like an issue because when you look at your guards, right, it's SGA and Curry. right? But the one guy you can't put in this year is Luka Doncic, right?
Mhm.
So if Luka was able, right, he's been injured, so obviously he can't play and all that stuff. But if he was there, then who would that 5 be? Carson?
Yeah, that's a tough question. Yeah, if you took out, probably Steph. I would probably put Luka at point over Steph if he was playing right now.
But when you think about it, it's interesting, right? Because Steph Curry, popularity wise, like
Mhm.
I think it got like that. Keith is saying Paul understands this is an entertainment, money making business. The selections make sense.
Could I
I
just
agree.
add? Does it really matter the way they play the NBA All-Star game? Who's
No.
the point and who? As we've seen, they may
Right,
score
exactly.
200 this year.
Exactly. There's no defense being played in the All-Star.
And-
It used to be a prideful event. Now it's just, okay, let's just see who can get the craziest shot and the craziest dunk, and we're just going to stand around and not play defense.
Right.
So, yeah, there's a couple guys, like Kenny said, you could argue Anthony Edwards. He's been balling out this year. He kind of got screwed based on his position, but if it wasn't for Joker, I think Victor Wembanyama should 100% been a starter.
Yeah.
25 points, 11 rebounds a game. He's averaging 4 blocks a game, by the way, which is crazy for a center. So Wemby and Anthony Edwards are the two guys that maybe you could argue you could swap out instead. So that's kind of the starters, guys, East and the West. Got a couple players on the trade block, the NBA trade deadline coming up fast next Thursday. So there's a couple guys on my list I'm going to give you guys here, and you're going to predict where they're going to be next week. So Kenny pointed this out yesterday. There was a report that the Kings plan on pursuing a trade to deal their point guard De'Aaron Fox from the Sacramento Kings. I'm going to give you guys, this is based off DraftKings right now. It's crazy you can actually bet on this, the next team that they're going to play for. So the Kings are still the favorite. Then you got the Spurs at 2-1, the Heat are 5-1, and the Rockets are 6-1. And then it goes down to like the Magic, the Lakers, the Timberwolves. You can bet on all the teams. But those are the 4 favorites: the Kings, the Spurs, the Heat, and the Rockets. So do you think Fox will stay with the Sacramento Kings, or could you see him being traded elsewhere by next Thursday? We'll go same order. We'll go to Paul again.
I think he's going to be traded. The way the Kings have, even though they bounced back a little, I think if they can get a haul back, and I think I'll send them to the Spurs. If I can get a decent haul from them, why not? And the Spurs would just reinforce who they need to really compete and be that much better in the West. So I'm going to say the Spurs.
Yeah, that'd be a great backcourt with Chris Paul and Fox and Wembanyama. That'd be a great trio. I like it, Paul. Kenny, do you have a prediction team if he's going to stay in Sacramento or go elsewhere?
Yeah, I think he's going to get traded too. And I think I didn't know it was on DraftKings, but I have the Heat written down because I think they're not going to want to deal with the Aaron Fox in the West.
Yeah,
and I could see the Heat moving on from Jimmy Butler. They're going to have to replace him somewhere. The Aaron Fox would be a nice addition to the Miami Heat and makes sense, in my opinion, for the Heat.
Nice. Kurt, do you think Fox stays in Sacramento or does he leave?
I think he leaves, and there was a report that he wants to go to San Antonio, is where he's not demanding, but that's where he would like to go. But I'm going to throw another team in the wrench here, and I'm going to throw it to our good friend Eddie Murphy. I think the Brooklyn Nets. You know, the Brooklyn Nets have a lot. I mean, they have no talent on the team, right? And I actually read this, and I said, this is pretty smart. They said, trade for the Aaron Fox. Don't play him. Tank. Try to get Cooper Flagg or somebody high. And then next year, you have Fox. You're going to have a top 3 pick. Still some assets. So, I'm going to say Brooklyn.
Nice. Yeah, I like all those teams, guys. I'm going to give you guys a rapid fire one. This is kind of an easy yes or no question. Will Zion Williamson be a New Orleans Pelican by next week, or will he get traded? So does he stay or does he go? Rapid fire, yes or no? Paul.
He goes. Do you want a team or just say?
Just is he going to go? You can throw in a team really fast if you want.
All right, I'll say the Lakers. He's going to go with the Lakers.
Nice. Kenny, does he leave?
Yes, And Carson will be happy. Pistons.
Wow, that'd be great. Kurt.
I'm going to say no. I think more in the offseason when a lot of teams like season ends and teams then really have to make a decision. I don't know what they could really get for him right now. Like who can offer what's out there to offer for him. So I'm going to say no now, but definitely before the summer, during the summer.
I like it. We'll do one final one, guys, and then if we still have time at the end, we can go circle back around. This has been probably the biggest one that people are talking about. Jimmy Butler. Lot of controversy with him not being happy with the current minute situation with the Miami Heat and Pat Riley and that whole ownership concept. So the favorite right now is the Phoenix Suns, the heavy favorite. They're minus 230. You got the Warriors. They're the second best odds. He stays with the Heat. That's the third best odds. And then you got teams like the Rockets. Believe it or not, the Pistons are on there. The Kings, the Bucks, the Nuggets, all up for grabs. So do you think Jimmy Butler is going to get traded and to where? Paul?
I read a report the other day that perhaps this is going to shock you guys. The Timberwolves, and maybe they move him and get back our old friend Julius Randle in a trade. So that's my prediction. He's going to go to the Timberwolves, and the Knicks will have to see Julius Randle a little more often.
Nice. Kenny, where does Jimmy Butler end up?
My sleeper for Jimmy Butler, the Suns are the heavy favorite. But I'm going to go a team that is playing very well, and you get them another piece like Jimmy Butler, dangerous in the West, the Houston Rockets.
Yeah. Nice. Kurt, you got a prediction for Jimmy Butler?
Burnell Smith is saying good evening, guys, real quick. What's up,
Burnell?
Hey, Burnell.
You know what? I think when you're saying the odds are so in favor of Phoenix, I think that he's going to want to go there. I know they said Golden State he would go to too, but he's such a problem. I just see a lot of times these people, when they really want to go, Phoenix is, I think, willing to give him the extension. I'm going to say Phoenix. I'm going to say I think he gets it done. He gets to where he wants to be.
Nice. Yeah, I could see the Phoenix Suns making a move with Ishbia trying to win a championship over there. Those are kind of my thoughts, guys, on NBA trade deadline and the starters. So we'll see what happens. Cade Cunningham, listen, he better be a reserve tomorrow. I'm going to be upset. So
Hey, Kenny, can I ask you guys one quick hitter question about the NBA?
Yeah.
Adam Silver was on a podcast, I believe, today, and they talked about the NBA going to a 40-minute game as opposed to 48 minutes. Quickly, yes or no? Do you like that idea? Kurt?
No.
Kenny?
No, I hate it.
Carson?
It's funny because people were complaining that baseball games were taking too long, so I could see him make a difference. Maybe not 10-minute quarters, but maybe shave a minute off each quarter, 2 minutes off. I could see a change in the future. So I'll say yes. I think they'll change in the next 3 years.
Okay.
Kenny, I got one more. I got one too. NBA, real quick. Just thought of it. I heard this today. The Spurs, Carson said the favorites are the Spurs to go get De'Aaron Fox, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if the Spurs were to do that, they have to move some money around, make some deals. A rumor of a trade, I forgot who it was, but it was Chris Paul to a team that would basically cut him and buy him out. Yes or no, Carson? If he is bought out, New York Knicks, would you sign Chris Paul?
Yes, I would. As a veteran leadership role for Brunson, yes.
I would too. Kenny?
Yeah, bench, absolutely.
Paul?
Probably, yes.
Okay. That's my quick hitter.
Nice. All right, we're going to switch it back up to some NFL. Super Bowl next week. We're going to do a lot of Super Bowl. Our Super Bowl show will be next week, everybody who's just coming in and saying hello. I got Clayton over here on my feed. Kurt saying hello, guys. Smash the like button. What's up, Clayton? Next week will be our Super Bowl show, but I got some NFL stuff, and we got some NFL topics for everybody. So the first topic is going to be about the NFL coaching changes. So so far I've had 6. The Saints are still looking for their coach. So basically, I'm going to give you guys. We're not going to. I'm going to go to one of you, and you're going to talk about the coach. And you think, did they get better? Are they the same? Are they worse? Give me the grade you think on the coach and hire. Since Kurt's on my list first, we'll go with the most recent hire, and I'll give Kurt Pete Carroll. Kurt, what are the Raiders getting with Pete Carroll, and how much better, worse, or the same will they be the same in 2025?
You're getting a Super Bowl champion, right? A 2-time who was there twice, division championships, NFC championships, national titles. You're getting a leader, right? Like that team does not have hasn't had like a legit leader, like it's not like and again, Antonio Pierce, I know Giant fans, he's your boy and stuff like that, but it was, a tough guy and stuff like that. But like, am I really going to respect that? Like you're respecting Pete Carroll. From day one, you're going to respect Pete Carroll. Again, listen, you're in a tough division now, right? You got 3 good teams in there, 3 great coaches. It's not going to be like turned around. They're not going to win 12 games next year, but the discipline's going to be there. The respectability is going to be there. I like the hire. I'm going to give it a high B+.
High B+, nice. We'll go down to Carson. Carson, I got to give you this one. I got to give you the Bears.
By the way, Trevor Salzman, Denver Bronco Roundup, chiming in. What's up, Trevor?
Hey, what's up, Trevor? Trevor filled in nicely for you last week, Kurt.
Thank you.
You
did a great job.
So we're going to give Carson Ben Johnson, the Bears hire. What does that do what does that mean for the NFC North and the Bears?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, considering all the candidates on the market, I think Ben Johnson was definitely the most coveted, sought after one. So the Bears, they went all in, they got their guy. We'll see how it plays out. I think I give it an A-. Ben Johnson going from a great O-line to kind of a mediocre O-line with the Chicago Bears. I think they're going to target that with their top 10 pick this year. We'll see what happens. They got to build a running game, which is tough to do in the NFL. He's going from Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery to DeAndre Swift, and there's rumors they might draft Genty in the top 10. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I think it all starts with the O-line. He is a great leader. He bonded and meshed really well with our guys in Detroit. Wish him the best. But yeah, that was a bold decision that he stayed in the NFC North. But yeah, I give it an A-. I think the Bears got their guy, and he's going to turn that franchise around.
Nice. Eddie's going to segue right into Paul. Eddie's saying all depends who's their quarterback next season about the Bears, but he's saying the Cowboys hiring made no sense. So, Paul, I gave you the Cowboys since we're Giants fans.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about Brian Schottenheimer and where he fits in the NFC East?
Yeah. Well, after rumors of Prime going there, and of course they couldn't get a contract done with McCarthy. So all of a sudden, Brian Schottenheimer rises from the staff, and Jerry, of course, can't have a bigger ego than Jerry Jones. So who he brings in? A guy who's been an assistant, never been a head coach before. So it'll be very interesting. Of course, he comes from a great family. His daddy, Marty, was a great regular season coach, not a too successful postseason coach, but nevertheless was a long-time head coach in the NFL. But look, he's been around the NFL a long time. All I can say is you still have Dak Prescott as the quarterback, and as long as Dak Prescott's your quarterback, how successful will the Cowboys be? I don't care if they had Bill Belichick as their coach. They're never going to be that successful. So I give him maybe a C. We got to see how he is, how the players respect him or not, as Kurt was talking about, Pete Carroll. So at this point, with no prior experience as head coach, I'll give him a C.
Fair enough.
Eddie Murphy saying if we draft Sanders, primetime will be Giants head coach in 2026.
Paul's going to choke on that drink.
Say it after I drink something.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to piggyback. We've got 3 more coaches. Kurt, I had to give this team to somebody, so it fell into you because of I got to give you the Jaguars, Kurt. Liam Cohen to the Jaguars.
Why? Just, I mean, and the guy Khan, the owner, said he's their guy from day one. What is he? What ship is he doing there? I just no.
Pirate ship.
I don't know why he's even considered like as a head coach. Like, I'm sorry. I'm going to give it an F. Absolutely. I am. I'm serious. I like why? Like you couldn't go get Pete Carroll? Like, are you kidding me? Like that's another team that needed like discipline and stuff like that. And you turned down not turned down, but like Pete Carroll or McCarthy. Like you don't want to put McCarthy with Trevor Lawrence. You're going to go with. I'm sorry, just don't like it.
Maybe because it didn't work with Peterson, they went young route. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, like I said, I had to give the Jaguars to somebody, but Carson, coming back to you, got to give you the Jets. The other guy, Aaron Glenn. What are the Jets in the AFC East going to have to deal with Aaron Glenn as their head coach?
Yeah, Jets, talking to Joey Clams and Claws, I asked him his thoughts and opinions, and he said he has to see it to believe it first. The Jets have been a franchise where they haven't been relevant since the Joe Namath days. So, he's going into a tough situation. Who knows if Aaron Rodgers is going to still be the quarterback over there. He did really well given the limited roster that he had with the Detroit Lions this year, 16 players on IR. He did all that he could. But there's still great players on that defense. You got Sauce Gardner, Quentin Williams. You still got, explosive weapons in Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. Again, see what happens with their offensive line. That needs a lot of work to be done. But I think, former player got drafted by the New York Jets. He's coming home. He knows the area. So I think I would say probably a B. That's the grade I would have to give it, but wishing for Aaron Glenn more than I am Ben Johnson because Aaron Glenn's in a whole other conference. So I think they'll be fine with Glenn.
By the way, Eddie's saying they just hired Wilkes as DC today.
Yeah, I heard that.
Quick hitter / rapid fire bonus for Carson. Grades on the new hirings of the Lions, Carson.
Oh, wow. I do like Kelvin Shepard as the DC. He was the linebacker coach. There's kind of a backstory on Hard Knocks, worried about his, appearance and talking about cutting his hair off, his dreadlocks. And Campbell said, no, I want Kelvin Shepard. So he's been the linebacker coach the past couple seasons. He's upgraded to the DC. The players seem to really vibe with him. So I like how that was in-house. So I think Calvin Shepard's going to be good. I'm curious to see Kurt's thoughts on this. John Morton's now our OC. I don't know much about him, but he worked pretty well with Bo Nix in the passing game this year. He's been around the area before. He's going to a much improved offense, in my opinion. To the Detroit Lions. Better O-line, better weapons. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of meshes and plays out. But yeah, I'll take a chance on him for Morton. So I like it. So I give it probably a B+ for Kelvin Shepard and maybe a B- for Morton so far.
Fair enough. Like it.
Yeah.
All right, got one more for Paul. Was the first head coach hired, Paul, and that's Mike Vrabel, Patriots.
Yeah,
what is it going to mean for them?
I think it was a great hire by New England. Obviously, longtime head coach with Tennessee, longtime New England player. Obviously, a favorite of Robert Kraft and his family. So they bring him back. Like Kurt mentioned about Pete Carroll bringing a lot of stability and experience. Now they have sort of an adult in the room, and I think he's going to also bring that stability to a young New England team, obviously with Drake May at quarterback. So I think it's a solid pick. I think I'd give it about a B+. I think they're bringing in, actually, they brought in Josh McDaniel as the OC. So I think it was overall a very, very good, wise pick for them.
Nice. I like that. Good job, guys, picking and analyzing the coaches. We got one more position. Kellen Moore's the favorite to go there. Mike Kafka and Anthony Weaver for the Saints. This is also still in the running. So it's a 3-man race, but it looks like it's Kellen Moore's job, just not announced yet because the Eagles are still in the playoffs. So we'll see
Will
what
that be
happens.
another?
Yep.
I'm sorry, Kenny. Would that be another Gannon or what's his name? Strahan.
Yeah, I
What's
think he's
the
going to stink in the NFL. He's not a head coach candidate. I don't like him. So that's
yeah.
me. That's me, and I'm not. Maybe I'm being a little biased because he's on the Eagles and he was on the Cowboys before that. But I think he's overrated as a coach. So we'll see. He better hand the ball off to Barkley 30 times on Sunday. That's all I say. That's all I'm going to say, and not try and show off for the Saints. Right, Kurt?
Yep, they all do it, right?
They all do it. Anyway, that's the coaching segment, guys. There's our good friend Jay Cook, Kurt, saying hello.
What's up, Jay?
And I wanted to get back to the Jets real quick. I forgot to mention this. Wayne Corbett spoke very highly, Kurt. Wayne Corbett,
Yep.
Classmate of
Oh, yeah.
ours, spoke very highly of the Aaron Glenn hire and played with Aaron Glenn in the 90s when Aaron Glenn was on the team. So they faced up. Wayne Corbett, former wide receiver, faced a lot of Aaron Glenn in practice, but spoke very highly of the Aaron Glenn hire. I'm going to pass it to Paul. We got another NFL segment to wrap the show up tonight.
All right. Thanks, Kenny. So, of course, end of year, we have our NFL/K and K end of year awards. So I'll go through some of the categories. These are the AP nominees that they make the announcement on that Thursday, February 6th, before the Super Bowl weekend. So let's start with rookies of the year, offensive rookie of the year. I'll give you the quick list. I'll go around as I see it. I'll go Kurt, Carson, Kenny. Offensive rookie of the year. Actually, these 5 guys, probably any other year, any one of these guys could make it and be elected. But Brock Bowers, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Bo Nix, Brian Thomas Jr. Kurt?
I think Jalen Daniels will get it. I think he deserves to get it. But I'll still say this: Bo Nix is going to be the better quarterback out of the two. But Daniels had the better year, so he should be the rookie of the year.
Okay, Carson.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels is going to win it. But a guy to bring up is Brock Bowers, like you said, broke the rookie reception record. So I think that's pretty big too. So Raiders got a stud with him.
Yeah, I agree. Kenny?
If I was voting, Kurt, I'm voting your boy Bo Nix over Jaden Daniels. And the reason is Jaden Daniels had a clear number 1 wide receiver in McLaurin. Jaden Daniels had a number 1 tight end in Zach Ertz. And Jaden Daniels had a running game. Broncos had no running game, and they were the worst tight end room in football. And Bo Nix still put up similar numbers as Jaden Daniels, got the Broncos in the playoffs. I'm looking at it that way as a voter. I'm voting Bo Nix.
Nice. Eddie's saying Neighbors broke it first, Carson. LOL.
Yeah, he was up there back and forth. Yep.
Yeah. Let's go defensive rookie of the year. Cooper DeJean, Braden Fisk from the Rams, Quinion Mitchell from the Eagles, Chop Robinson, and Jared Verse. I like Jared Verse. I think that kid came on toward the end of the year, and he had a big postseason, so he'd be my pick. Kenny?
I'll go the other Ram. Braden Fisk also had a really good year over there. I'm going to go Fisk. Big reason why the Rams got where they were because of their defense, and he was a pleasant surprise over there.
Nice. Kurt?
See, I like DeJean. I really do. But I agree with you. I think it's going to be Verse, right? I mean, especially towards the end. And then I know postseason don't count, but I mean, he was a monster in those playoff games, especially against Philly. Just talking trash to the crowd and still making plays. I'll take Verse.
Great. And Carson?
Yeah, I'll say Jared Verse as well. I'll agree with Kurt.
Okay. Let's go MVP. Always the biggest award. Josh Allen, Saquon, Joe Burrow, Carson's boy, Jared Goff, and Lamar Jackson. Carson?
Yeah, Josh Allen is going to win the award. But if I had to vote, it is Saquon Barkley. That is who should win the MVP. But they always give it to a quarterback. Like you guys are saying, popularity contest. That's just what's going to happen. Josh Allen had a great year, but impact to his team, they're in the freaking Super Bowl for a reason because of this man, Saquon Barkley.
Kenny?
If I was voting Barkley, like Carson said, but I think it's Josh Allen as well because Josh Allen had less around him than Lamar Jackson. Cook is good, but he's no Henry.
Again, this is where I think it's a fraud award, right? Because like you guys said, Josh Allen will probably win it. But I mean, just like Kenny and Carson just said, like this guy he transformed that team, right? You looked at the team like 2 years ago when they got to the Super Bowl, they had like average running backs, right? Like Swift or whatever, and they were good running the ball. Last year they got away from that and they just said, okay, Jalen Hurts, go do what you do. And they were terrible, right? They got run out of the building in a playoff game. And now you bring Saquon Barkley. They're the best offensive rushing team in football, right? They got the most talent in football, but they're built differently now. Like, Kenny said, Kellen Moore better hand it. Listen to me. Nick Sirianni's going to tell Kellen Moore, I'll tell you, Sirianni, 30 times, he's touching that ball maybe 40 times in that game. He is the best player in football. And Giant fans, you got to be sick over watching that because not only like you left, not only is he not a Giant, not only is he an Eagle, but you chose Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley. That and how those guys who made that decision are even allowed in the state of New Jersey, seriously, it's a criminal offense. I'm serious. They should never, ever be allowed to make any football decision.
How is Joe Shane still the GM?
Exactly.
How is he still the GM of this team?
That's what the two of us have asked.
Yeah,
okay,
real quick.
Believe me, we're not arguing with you guys.
The MVP.
Real quick, the quote on Hard Knocks from Joe Shane to his scouts was, what are we going to do with Barkley? Well, I'm not paying a $40 million quarterback to hand the ball off to a $13 million running back. We got to build the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? Like Kurt always says, these guys aren't worth $40 million. Well, what are you going to do when you got a $50 or $60 million? You're not going to get any receivers to throw to. Oh, we're not going to sign any receivers because we got a $60 million quarterback. We don't need a stud receiver.
Crazy.
That's his
All
philosophy.
right, moving on.
Real quick, there's our great friend Patrick and Kenny. I got a little breaking news, and this is Patrick from he's saying aloha,
Aloha.
Bo Knicks, but Patrick's going to join me tonight on the Broncos show.
Oh, wow.
Broncos and talk about, because I tell you, he is so generous with the coffee and stuff like that. He's going to talk a little bit about live on the coffee.
Little coffee talk.
Wow,
I like it.
nice.
I like
Eddie
it.
Murphy saying if Barkley was still a Giant, you would be saying he's overrated. I would never say Barkley's overrated.
No, that's
Anyway.
only Skip Bayless.
I'm picking Josh Allen. All right, let's go to Coach of the Year. A couple of guys that you know. Carson's Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell, Kurt's Sean Payton, Dan Quinn, and Andy Reid. I'll start with Carson.
Yeah, this is it's going to break my heart because Kevin O'Connell is going to win this award based on all the sports betting books and odds that I've seen. Based on what happened with Sam Darnold the last 2 games of the year, led him to a 15-win football team. Even though Dan Campbell had 16 guys on injured reserve, the most out of any team in the NFL this year, and he got this. The Lions the first time ever the 1 seed. So if he doesn't win Coach of the Year, he will never win Coach of the Year. But again, it's a popularity contest. This committee, this panel, whoever they are, they pick these winners, and it should be Dan Campbell, but it's going to be Kevin O'Connell.
Kenny?
You changed my mind, Carson. If I went first, I was going to pick Kevin O'Connell, but what you said there, I got to agree with you. Yeah, Dan Campbell, they did 16 guys on injured reserve on your defensive side of the ball. Your offense was amazing, and Campbell's decisions, sometimes they backfire, but this guy's a good coach. I'm going to go Dan Campbell. I think he deserves it.
I'm going to go next. I don't think anybody expected this team to do where they would be where they were. and I'm picking Dan Quinn with a rookie quarterback, a somewhat difficult division for them to get into the playoffs. I think nobody saw that, so I would go with Dan Quinn. Kurt?
I don't understand how people could just say Kevin O'Connell, right? I mean, I saw him week 17 or whatever, the last week of the season. Is 17 or week 18? What is it? Week 18?
18.
Week 18, like, I saw him go up against the other coach and, I mean, got totally outcoached, right? The offense stunk, right? So, like, how am I going, like, in this isn't even playoffs. When you had that Sunday night game in Detroit, where was his offense? He did nothing. I saw two other teams, right? I saw the next team, Washington, go through Detroit's defense. We're going to give it to Kevin O'Connell? Why? Like, that game lost him a division championship, a number 1 seed. There's no way I'm giving it to him. And you know what? I'm probably going to have to go. You know what? I'm going to go Dan Campbell. I'm going to go. I know Quinn and Peyton had great years and stuff like that. I'm going to go Dan Campbell because you know what? That game showed me he got totally outcoached. So why would I give it to Kevin O'Connell?
So you gotta have a couple other names in there. Jim Harbaugh, what he did with the Chargers this year, he didn't have a great roster. Look at that offense. And then another name. How about Sean McVay? He winning the NFC West and almost beating the Eagles.
Yeah, these are the AP nominees. So
I know.
Anyway, all right. Now we get to a very competitive category. Offensive Player of the Year. Saquon, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. This is where Saquon's going to win it. He probably should win MVP, but he will definitely win Offensive Player of the Year. Kenny, who do you like?
Yeah, Barkley. We discussed it. You could just rapid fire this one for me. He deserves it, and he will be Offensive Player.
Kurt,
Barkley.
Carson, sweep the board.
Yeah, it's going to be Barkley. But again, this is a very stupid award. You have the MVP and you got the Offensive Player of the Year. It's like it should be the same award. It's going to be an offensive player. The last time I think a defensive player won it was LT in the 80s with the Giants.
You're talking about MVP, obviously.
Yeah. So it's going to be an offensive player. It's going to be Barkley, but it totally contradicts the award for MVP and Offensive Player of the Year. It's totally stupid, but it's going to be Barkley.
All right, Defensive Player of the Year. This guy just makes play after play. Every time I watch Jack Bourne, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Patrick Surtain, the second, Kurt, and TJ Watt. Carson, I'll go right back to you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be TJ Watt. The guy's just unstoppable on that defense. He can do it all. He's like a linebacker edge hybrid, kind of like in my opinion, an upgraded, better version of Micah Parsons. So I think he should win the award this year.
Kenny?
This is where you're going to find out if these voters actually watch the games, because I'm glad you went before Kurt, so Kurt can be biased after me, but PS2 deserves this award. The Broncos defense, big reason why they got to the playoffs. PS2 is the best corner in football, hands down, in my opinion. Watching him play, lockdown, and he deserves to be the Defensive Player of the Year. We saw, when he's out, how bad the Broncos could be in the secondary when he's out. So he's my Defensive Player of the Year.
Kurt, do you agree with Kenny?
I 100% agree. And again, you look at some of these guys and it's like Jamar Chase, 12 catches, 200 yards. Well, not when he's against Surtain, right? Devontae Adams, whatever. Not when he's against Surtain. I mean, Surtain literally shuts everybody down. Like, there's nobody I don't think he gave up more than 40 yards against anybody. He's always on our number one when our defensive coordinator puts him on their number one. We'll get into that later. But, he's the best in football. You basically just lock that side of the field up on him. I'm going to be biased, but it's got to be Surtain.
Okay. I'll tell you, you make a great argument, Kenny and Kurt. I'm going to go with this guy who, every time I watch the Eagles, he is just all over the place. Zach Bourne came out of nowhere. He was a special team player for the Saints, and it seems like I must have watched 10, 12 games, Eagle games this year, and it just seems like he was he was around the ball all the time. So we'll see how the vote is, like you say, Kenny. We'll see how the voters vote. But this guy was a big part of that Eagle defense. All right, two more. In a good way, what was the surprise team of the year for you guys? I'll start with Kurt.
Could be biased.
You know what? I'm going to put a buy. I mean, a tie. I'm going to go Commanders and my Broncos. I mean, first year quarterbacks, it's always a struggle. You're going to do this. And you know what? Those teams were competitive. Those teams are, I'm telling you right now, those teams have a window to win it all right now with some moves. I'm picking both of them. I'm picking them in a tie because it's very hard to do what those two quarterbacks did. And again, especially like Denver does not have any weapons yet. So now when you put weapons around this kid, the sky's the limit. Same thing with Jalen Daniels and the Commanders. Nobody thought they were going to be where they came out. So I will say with the first year quarterbacks, Daniels and Knicks, Commanders, Broncos. Tie.
Okay, nice. Carson?
Yeah, I think I'll give Dan Quinn his flowers with the Commanders. I don't think anybody saw what they were going to do. Caleb Williams, the prohibited savior, the number one pick, everybody was glossing all over him, and then just kid Jaden Daniels comes out of nowhere and gets him to the NFC Championship in Dan Quinn's first season as a head coach. So I think Commanders, but yeah, like Kurt was saying, Broncos did great with Peyton and Bo Nix. Chargers is another candidate. I don't think anybody saw Harbaugh getting the Chargers the 5 seed. They lost a lot, their whole offense basically to different teams. So those are the 3 teams I would say.
Okay. I'll just go quickly. Regardless of the week 18, nobody saw the Vikings being 15-2 or 14-2 going into the last weekend. So especially with Sam Darnold as the quarterback. So I'll go with the Vikings, regardless of what they did the last weekend of the season and in the playoffs. But I don't think anybody expected they were fighting for the number 1 seed until that last weekend. Kenny, you want to wrap it up?
You nailed all the teams I had listed on my list. The Vikings 15-3 with Sam Darnold as your quarterback. That's got to be a surprise. Jaden Daniels, like Kurt said, got to be a surprise. NFC East, getting there with a rookie quarterback, just missing the Super Bowl, but regular season, getting them in the playoffs after a 4-win season, that's got to be a surprise. The Broncos were projected by many to be one of the worst teams in football this year. 3 wins, 4 wins, 5 wins at the most. I remember Kurt saying, best bet in football, take the over 5.5. And you know what? You nailed that after like week 9. So hats off to you for that pick, Kurt. You know your team very well, better than anybody else I know on the East Coast. And those are your 3 surprise teams. So you guys nailed it. And, if you want to throw another one in there, you could throw the Rams. But I think you nailed the top 3 for sure.
Okay. Last category. A lot of disappointing teams, meaning they were bad. So I have a list of 8 or 9, but let's start with Kenny. I'll go right back to you. Which team in your mind, Kenny, was the most disappointing team, meaning they were not very good this year?
I'll be biased. I'll go Giants. 3-14, worst record in football. We talked about it moments ago. You let Saquon Barkley go for your $40 million franchise quarterback, which you released halfway through the season, 3/4 of the season, you released him. The Vikings picked him up. So now you're looking for quarterbacks, you're looking for this, you're looking for that. The only good thing that came out of this year, we found the number 1 wide receiver in Neighbors, but everywhere else, team was a disaster and big disappointment in my opinion, and I know a lot of people's opinions. But huge disappointment, and it can only go up from here, I hope.
Carson.
Yeah, it's got to be the New York Jets. I lost so much money betting on this team to win the Super Bowl. Kurt's partially to blame for this, I will admit.
I wasn't going to say anything, but
he and I were very high in the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers, this is it. This is the time. They got all the weapons. They just got, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson. one of the best corners in football in Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams. What could possibly go wrong? 5-12. That's what went wrong. Didn't make the playoffs. Don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be back. They, coaching changes everywhere. They fired Saleh halfway through the season. So by far, it's the New York Jets.
Okay. Kurt?
Real quick, Patrick saying, see you soon, Mr. Valenti, and refills, let me know. Absolutely. Again, Patrick will be on with me in an hour. I'm going to go a different – I'm going to go Cincinnati Bengals. I
had them on my list.
I watch these AFC playoff games, right? And I'm just sitting there and saying, Joe Burrow would have beat that team. Joe Burrow and those guys would have beat that team. Joe Burrow would have beat that. And you know what? They got to be sick, right? They got to be sick to their stomach because – I'm sorry. Joe Burrow is one guy where it's just like, would I trade for Bo Nix? Like, and I love Bo Nix. I love Bo Nix, but I'm telling you right now, if I could have Joe Burrow, I think Joe Burrow is phenomenal. And for that team to be like that, again, that coach, how he's not on the hot seat.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. I am sorry. He fires his defensive coordinator, but this guy, a train wreck as a head coach. So I'm going to go Bengals.
Okay. I have a couple of teams that I was thinking about, maybe the 49ers, but, they've been so good. Okay, you have a down year. I don't want to use injuries. But the one team that I will go to is Kurt's favorite team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, you talk about a train wreck of a team. You guys have heard me over and over again. What is so good about Trevor Lawrence? He still hasn't proven himself. He's been in the league now, 4 or 5 years.
Paul, you better watch what you wish for because you might be wearing a Trevor Lawrence jersey. Not a Jacksonville
I know.
I
know, Kurt. That being said, he's going to be the next greatest thing since sliced bread. But all that being said, listen, this guy, he still hasn't put it together. They fired Doug Peterson. You see the off season, what they've had now with the craziness with the general manager being fired and the way they handled the coaching, new coach. So I'm going to say the Jaguars, major disappointment, especially in that division that is really fairly weak.
Paul, real quick, right now, would you trade number 3 for Trevor Lawrence?
Absolutely. I'm no idiot.
There you go.
Yeah. Last thing, get closing thoughts. Nobody said Cowboys. Cowboys were a huge disappointment.
They were on my list.
They were on my list too. I was waiting for somebody to say them, but
yeah.
So how about them Cowboys?
Guys, got anything else football before we wrap it up, Kurt, and get some closing thoughts in?
Just listen. It's like Carson. There's no football this weekend. It sucks, man. It does.
Yep.
You mean you're not watching the flag football skills competition?
No.
All right. Well, it's Kurt. Back to you for closing thoughts.
All right. My final thoughts are, again, football season didn't end the way I wanted it to end, of course. One more game. And then it's like, there's no football. What are we going to do? Well, I got a lot to do because you know why, Paul and Kenny? You know why? We are NBA championship contenders. And you know what, Mr. Carson Shear? Don't look now. But you
why
see
not,
number
Kurt?
15 in that country, baby?
Why not?
Go,
Nick
Johnny's.
Pistons,
Rick
first round matchup. I'm calling it now, Kurt.
Rick
first round matchup. Pistons next.
Pitino, baby. Let's go, Johnny's.
There
Mr.
you go.
Carson Shear.
Yeah, listen, St. John's doing their thing. Michigan State, top 10 team in the country. That's going to be fun to watch. See what happens. With any other surprises. March Madness is always fun. We'll do our K and K ticket time bracket again in a couple months. Looking forward to that. But yeah, man, New York Knicks, Detroit Pistons, first round playoff matchup. Let's make it happen.
Speaking of ticket time, Carson, where are you going to be in a couple minutes?
Yeah, if you guys like casino content, Ticket Time live on YouTube, Ticket Time on Kick. We're going to be over there doing a bonus on opening in about 5 minutes.
You know what,
Those
Carson?
are a lot of fun if you like
Carson,
slot
you
machines.
know what? Carson's the young gun on this panel. Carson's very good with technology, and I know Carson could do this. Carson, I'm going to give you 3 months. I need you to get something done for me.
Okay.
When we tune in live to Ticket Time, We see all kinds of games and stuff. I need a game with Kenny's face with like a slot machine. I need that done. I need that done.
No, I want the K and K one.
Oh, my God.
I want all Kenny. All Kenny. Pictures of Kenny. Get it
That's
done,
all
baby.
deal. Make it happen.
Like a slot machine, and
Yeah.
you
There
know,
you go.
Yeah.
three faces of Kenny, and you win.
Yeah, nice.
Mr. Rosen.
Great show, guys. Always a lot of fun. Yeah, no football this weekend, but can't wait until 2 weekends. Super Bowl should be a great game. Always a great pleasure to be with you guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. Always a pleasure to hear from everybody.
And last but not least, Mr. Kenneth Kirkpatrick.
Thanks, guys. Look forward to the week off. No football, but we still got our Knicks, like Kurt said. Look at the background. I just noticed that. Look where Paul is. That chair, if it was blue under Paul, would look exactly like the chair that Paul's sitting on in our background.
This is
You
true.
gotta find the blue one that way. But anyway, we'll see everybody next week. Patrick, look forward to seeing you on Denver. Let's Talk Broncos in less than an hour. We'll see everybody next week, our Super Bowl preview show. I may be doing a mock draft show with Trevor on Monday. We'll get back to you on that. And we'll see everyone next week. Have a good night.